Hi, this is Numeric Citizen. In today's video, I want to talk about how to effectively use tags in craft. There is so much that we can say and that we can talk about using tags, and I hope that this video will give you some sense of how you could take advantage of tags for your own environment. Let's get started. We've been waiting for tags for a long time, but now that we have tags in craft, there's new ways to organize your content, your documents. Before tags, the only way to do that was to use folders, and it was a pretty limiting feature. But now that we can use tags, those will add another dimension for organizing your content. I would say that usually when using tags, it's a way for you to not only organize your documents, but also a way to surface or to bring back documents just by drilling down into your tags. And that's the way I'm using tags actually in Craft. It's really for adding a new way to find documents in my environment, and I think it's a pretty effective way, provided that you use some kind of rules for you to organize your tags themselves, because you will see that the more you add tags in Craft, the more there is a need to organize them in some kind of structure. And this is what I'm going to show you, how I'm using tags in my environment and what are the rules that I'm using to decide how I create tags and for what purpose. Now, as I said earlier, the more you have tags, the more there's a need to organize them. And this is where subtags comes into play. So instead of having a flat list of keywords or tags as shown here, there's a need to organize tags into subtags. And the reason for that is, let's say you are talking about photography. There's a lot of different themes under photography that you might want to organize your tags with. And so if you want to talk about photography, you can talk about equipment, you can talk about scenes, you can talk about techniques, you can talk about places that you visited or that you plan to visit in order to do some photography there. So there's really a need to organize things, and since Craft supports the use of subtags, I highly encourage you to use them the more possible. And this is what I'm going to show you. But before that, I'm going to show you a visual representation of what it is to be using a single list of keywords or tags, as opposed as using a more organized way to classify or group tags together using subtags. Here's a list of words or keywords that I'm using to tag documents. You will see there's a few mention about application on the Mac, for example, Ulysses, Craft, Anybox, Play. Those are applications. Also, you will see Reddit, Mastodon, and Web, which might refer to something else, like a piece of information coming from Mastodon, for example. And then also I have a few other keywords or tags which relates to videos, roadmap, learning, and update. If I were only to use those tags without any sort of organization, I don't think I would take the best value of tagging in Craft. And so that's why I'm using a organized structure, and I'll show you how it goes right here. So you see that what I was talking when I was talking about web, Mastodon, and Reddit, those are source of information from the web. So if I take a piece of information from a post on Reddit, for example, that I want to tag, then I will use the tag source / with the subtag Reddit. The same goes for Craft. When I'm talking about Craft, I might be talking about creating videos, talking about the roadmap, or learning something with Craft, or something about a recent update to Craft. So that's why I'm using the main tag Craft and a subtag, one of those subtags. Also, if I want to talk about application in general, I might talk about a writing application like Ulysses, and I want to compare that to another application like Craft. In that context, I will use the main tag app followed by the subtag Ulysses and the subtag Craft. And so that's, I think, is a good way to organize not only your tags in Craft, but also help you tag your document um, by using this simple rule. And depending of your domain, that depending of the type of documents that you are creating in Craft, you might use a different set of tags, obviously, but you have to, I think, understand that by grouping tags together, this will help you create a more general category of tags, which will become the main tag. And so those are giving you some example of how things are being organized. Now I want to show you how this organization of tags into subtags is actually experienced in Craft. And so on the left sidebar here, you have a list of tags. Those are the ones that I pinned on the sidebar because I refer to them quite often. As you can see, there's a Craft tag there. There's Glass, which is a web service for, it's a photo sharing service. If I expand this tag itself, then you will see that I sometimes will refer to some discovery that I'm making on Glass, or something that relates to searching, or a series, because you can post a series of photos on Glass, and sometimes I do want to kind of create documents related to this. The same goes for Craft itself. As you might expect, the list is kind of pretty long, and so it's easier to retrieve documents by using this type of organization because I'm very specific. And there is no issue in tagging a document with many subtags, because if you are talking about documents and you're talking about, let's say, formatting, then you can apply those two subtags to the same document without any problem. So that's the way it is shown in the left sidebar. Now, if I click on Craft here, you will see that all the documents that are tagged with the main tag, which is Craft. If I want to see something more specific underneath the main tag, then I can expand this little triangle there, and you will see that this is the all Craft, but I want to expand on that. There's 62 documents with this main tag, but if I want to take a look at the any documents that talk about the assistant, then I click on that and you will see those two documents which refer to the Craft assistant. If I click on the result number here, I can see the context where the tag is applied. It is shown here in yellow. The same goes for this one here. You will see that I have a video that I created about Craft, and I was talking about the Craft Assistant in this specific video. So I can click on the document itself, and I can see that I have the Craft Assistant tag here. As you see here, there's many tags applied to this document. I want to group together all the Craft videos. If I click on that, this is what I'm going to see. All those videos all those documents are about creating videos. So that's the way you are filtering content in Craft. If I click there, I can also look at um, different tags by searching, and I can just select a specific subtag like Craft documents, and I click on that, and this is what I'm going to see once the list is filtered with this subtag. So I think it's pretty well executed. It might be some kind of hard to see in this view, but I think it's pretty good. Yeah, so the more tags you have, the list will become longer. There is no sub tag in Craft. There's only two level of tagging available. So that's how you will experience that using the filtering view. Because I have many tags, I decided to create a table of rules that I'm using to apply those tags in my environment. And so I'll show you my table here in this document. And you will see that there is 9 rules right now. Some of the rules are related to are workflow related. So I'm going to use tags in order to help me in my creative workflow. Some of the other tags are more for categorization purposes. And then there's one rule itself, which is more about referencing. So let's go over those rules. The first 3 rules are about workflow, and sometimes I want to tag a document that I know it's where the content is expiring. It's no longer relevant and I should consider do something about it. Sometimes I will say I want to mark a document that is expired and it's due for an update. I'll often use that tag for specific videos about craft that I know that are no longer up to date because the craft has changed, there's a new feature or feature were improved. And so I want to mark this specific document due for an update. And also I have when I am importing articles into Craft using the Craft extension, web extension, sometimes I will import a document and then I will simply tag a status with unread subtag so that I can look at all my unread document in my Craft environment. As soon as I read the document, then I will change the tag to a new status, which is read, so that the document is no longer tagged as being unread or unprocessed. So those are 3 rules that I'm using. I do use some example here in my table, like for example this video about the craft web clipper. The tags are applied at in the same area, and I know that this video should be maybe updated because the craft extension itself is improving over time. So that's why I'm tagging this document as expiring. If I go back to my table, the next set of rules is about categorization of content. And so I have a lot of rules that are about setting the source where the content comes from. So I can sometimes save an article from a website with the Craft extension, and then I will apply the source / web subtag to this document so that I can know that this article comes from the web. Sometimes I will refer to YouTube. I will save content to YouTube or a post from someone on Mastodon. Then I want to apply the corresponding tag to this information tidbits. And I have a lot of example of those tags here in this long document that I have created for Liquid Glass by Apple. So when I'm saving content, like in this portion, I think sometimes I will use the tag itself, like here. So this article comes from the web and it's about liquid glass. So that's an example of using the source / with a subtag web. If I go back to my table here, I have also a lot of tags related to craft. And so there's a lot of place where I'm going to use this type of tag. And so if I go back here and I want to show example of the craft subtags that I'm using, it's in my video here, where any videos that I'm creating does use a subtag here in this region in this area where I talk about a specific craft release, and I'm talking about craft data itself. So that's another use of a tag subtag. Other classification is when I'm talking about a specific app. Those apps are being grouped together under a main tag, which is app, and then followed by the name of the app itself as a subtag. Sometimes I will talk about companies like Google, Apple, and so this rule has been introduced recently, so I don't have many example of tags and subtags for this, but I'm starting to use more and more this to better categorize some documents, which company I'm talking about. And lastly, the last rule is about referencing. So if I'm reading something that I find useful or that I plan to create a link post from that information or from that article that I'm saving or that I read from the web, then I will use the quote tag or the link post. So those are the rules that I'm using, and the reason for writing this or creating this table is to remember those rules and to stick the more possible, stick to those rules so that my content is organized in the most optimized way. And I do have some other information regarding those rules. For example, um, I'm saying here that my YouTube videos that I made are tagged, but they must include the app first, like the craft video tag. Another one is to not use tags in text block itself. So if I'm writing a paragraph, I'm refraining myself from using a tag inline the text because I don't like the way it look, and I prefer to add the tag somewhere else in the document. Um, Also, I'm talking about what are the use cases for tags, which is more or less something that you can see here in this column, which is the type, or can also um, set the use case in this column. And lastly, I'm using a tag cloud because when I'm visiting this table, I might want to go from there and click on that in order to go to this specific tag, and then it's easier. It's a kind of a shortcut. If it's not available in the left sidebar here, then at least it's available in this document that I consult that I often visit. And so that's the rules that I'm using. And this is something that is not static. I do make changes. And this is what I'm going to talk about next, how you manage changing tags in your document. Now, there's a few more things that I want to talk about related to tags. And knowing what I'm going to talk about, you might reconsider the way you are planning or that you are actually using tags in craft. The first thing is that you cannot rename a tag and expect that all the documents containing that tag will be also renamed. You have to really take that into consideration when you are creating tags, or when you are thinking about the way you are planning to use tags in craft. And I learned the lesson the hard way, and this is why one of the reasons why I decided to create this video, because this is something that you really should know. I don't know if this is something that is going to be improved in the future, but I certainly hope so, because it's really hard to change tags once they are applied to your documents. The other thing is that when you are working with a document, let's say this is a document, and I want to use a specific tag. Let's say I want to talk about craft, and let's say about interaction, for example. Um, if I want to manipulate this tag, if I click on it, you will see that I can type another tag like craft / video, for example. What happens when I'm clicking or entering that? It will change the tag itself. If I click again on that and I want to remove that tag, I don't want to use that tag. I want it to kind of not become a tag, but just simple text. I can change that to simple text, but the way it is shown here, for some reason, it is kind of using the the code formatting for that. So it's something that kind of I think it's not the best user experience. Um, Also, if you use a long list of subtags like this, but you want to create a new subtag like x, y, z, you will get a chance to just hit enter and the tag itself will be created. But if you want to, let's say, select a subtag, but you're not sure, you have to kind of scroll up and down to see if the tag is there, or you can type a few words to look for it. Also, if you want to create a new tag because you don't find the right one here, you just type the letters, new tag, and then you will be able to apply this tag to this document. If you delete that tag, let's say I want to go back to all my documents here, or if I want to go here in tags, I want to filter. I want to filter like the new tag I created. This one, no, this one, a new tag here. I should find the document I add. If I come back in this document and I simply remove that tag, then Craft is not aware that this tag existed before. You won't be able to find it in the filtering view anymore. If I go there, you won't be able to find the tag that I have created. So this is something that maybe you need to know when using tag. This is the behavior, the current behavior that we've got. So that's what I wanted to talk about related to craft, some craft limitation regarding tags. Now a few more things about tags. The first thing is that I'm not using the left sidebar often, actually. When I'm trying to retrieve documents that I know that I've been tagged, I prefer to use the quick open. There, if I type the first few letters of tags, then I will be able to locate all the documents related to those tags, and it goes directly into the filtering view. And from there, I can just add more tags to filter out even more documents. So that's the things that I'm doing the most when I'm trying to use tags in Craft. Those here are kind of think about those as a starred tags that I refer to often, but usually again I'll be using the quick open dialog box instead. Also related to tag renaming. If you used to have a single level tag for your documents, like let's say you want to talk about car racing, if you used the racing tag at first to tag many of your documents, and then later you decide to be more specific about racing and you want to add car racing, again, you won't be able to go and rename the racing tag and create a tag, subtag, a version of it, like adding car / racing. You will have to revisit all your documents and change the tag in all the documents. So you will either delete the current tag and then type the new car / racing in place in order to change the tagging for that document. I don't know if there is a better way to help user changing a bunch of documents that are currently using a specific tag. But this is how it is done right now. And so that's why I think it's important to really think about the structure of the tags that you are going to use before starting to use them in all your documents. That was pretty much what I had to say regarding my effective use of tags in craft. If I have one thing that I want you to remember about all this is to really think about how you want to structure the tags in your environment. Spend some time in thinking about that, and even use an app like MindNote where you can organize your tags visually so you have a better understanding of what makes sense from what doesn't make sense. So that's it for today's video. Hope that you learn a few things along the way. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you for being there. Thank you for watching until the very end. See you guys for another one soon. Bye.